Hello everyone and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to my channel. I'm Ahmed and today we're going to learn factorization of quadratic equations. So let's not wait anymore and start learning about this topic. So our today's topic is to learn about quadratic equations, but before learning quadratic equations we have to understand quadratic expressions. It's going to be very easy if we learn quadratic expressions first and then do quadratic equations. Okay, so before actually starting to learn from this video, I highly recommend watching the video on factorization by grouping. Why? Because our main goal, first of all, in quadratic expressions or equations are to actually make 4 components out of 3 later on so that we can group them and then factorize them. So I'm not going to teach how to factorize by grouping because I already have a video on it. I suggest you watch that video first, then you can head on to this video. It's going to be very helpful. Okay, so the types of questions that you are going to get in quadratic expressions or equations are such: x squared plus 6x plus 8. Okay, now the way to solve quadratic expressions are a little bit different. Okay, it's a little bit awkward and different. So let's see how to solve them. Actually, if we can memorize the steps, it's very simple. The first thing here, you can see the 3 components. To identify whether it is a quadratic expression or not, you have to first of all see whether it has a term raised to the power of 2. In this case, yes, x squared. And then the second thing you have to verify is whether it has one unknown value or not. And yes, it does. It have x, which is unknown in this expression. So if those two are verified, this is a quadratic expression. So see here, this question is a quadratic expression, right? It has a term raised to the power of 2 and it has an unknown term too. First thing you have to do is to multiply the last term, which in our case the last term is this, with the first term, this. Now you don't multiply the first term with the last term with the x squared. Okay, you will have one unknown term, right? You don't multiply the unknown term. You multiply the numeric values only, or the coefficient. So here 8 will be multiplied with 1. Now from where 1 came, well, that's pretty simple, right? X squared means 1x squared. We just don't write the 1. X means 1x. We just don't write the 1, right? So same way here, we are going to multiply 8 with 1. So we are going to multiply 8 with 1. Now I know that is 8 and pretty simple, but there could be numbers like 2x squared, 3x squared, 10x squared, could be different numbers. But the first thing is to multiply the third term with the first term, or the coefficient. Now before proceeding further, I would like to show you how we represent this same thing in a form. Like you can't just say you multiply the third term with the first term. The way we like to represent this same thing here, the quadratic expressions, are in this way: ax squared plus bx plus c. This shows a quadratic expression because it has a term raised to the power of 2 and it has a unknown term too, which in this case is x. Now a, b, c are also unknown, but here for the sake of the example we are thinking that these are known values. Now that this proves to be a quadratic expression, we can work on this by saying, first of all, you have to multiply c with a, or the third term with the first term, however you like to remember it. But this is how we represent a quadratic expression, a standard form of quadratic expressions. So we multiply c with a, that's the first step, right? C times a. Here c is 8, right? C corresponds to 8 here, and a corresponds to 1 here. If we multiply them, we are going to get 8. Now we have to deal with two numbers. Okay, as I told you before, our main goal is to make this 3-component equation into something like 4 components so that we can group it and then we can finally factorize it. So let me erase this all, and then we'll see what to do next. So I erased all of them and then arranged it in a much better way. Here you can see, first of all, our first rule is to multiply a and c. So we did it. We multiplied a and c. Our next step is going to be split bx. Okay, now what does it mean by split bx? Here this number is important. Okay, this number is extremely important. We need two numbers. Okay, so two numbers. Here, what is the coefficient before x? 6, right? So we need two numbers that will add up to 6 but will multiply up to 8. So what two numbers can add up to 6? 5 plus 1 can add up to 6, 4 plus 2, 3 plus 3, then 2 plus 4, 1 plus 5, right? From these list of numbers, we need two numbers, that means one pair, that will add up to 6 but will multiply up to 8. Now let me clarify and show you what I mean. So we usually split it like this. Okay, so two numbers, think of two numbers that will multiply up to 8. Okay, so I know 1 times 8 will multiply up to 8, then 2 times 4 will multiply up to 8, and there's nothing more, right? Then it's gonna start repeating 4 times 2. Here we have, as I told, we need two numbers that will multiply up to 8 but will add up to 6. So can you find the pair in these two which will multiply up to 8 but will add up to 6? Well, that's simple, right? 2 and 4. These are the two pairs. If you multiply 2 with 4, you're going to get 8. However, if you add 2 and 4, you're going to get 6, right? So we will split 6 into these two numbers. So if I give you 6 equals to 2 plus 4, that is correct, right? That 6 equals to 2 plus 4. Now if I just write 6 as 2 plus 4, there's nothing wrong, right? If I just write 6 as 2 plus 4. If I write 10 as 5 plus 5, that is not wrong. That is the same thing. I just split it. Same way, we are going to split 6x into these two numbers. But they're not going to be wrong, because if we say, let me split it for you, then you can understand it better. 1x squared plus 2x plus 4x plus 8. Okay, so does it make sense? Yes, of course. 2x plus 4x is still 6x, right? 2x plus 4x still 6x. We didn't change anything, we just split the terms. Now that is the second step. Now the third step is pretty simple. If you have watched my video on grouping, you should already figure out the third step, that is group them. Group them and factorize. Group and factorize. Group and factorize them. So we just have just like a grouping question, right? Our questions in grouping were same like this, factorization by grouping. We had 4 components, and then we took out the common terms in 2 of them, and then we just worked it out, factorized it. So let me take this to the next page, and then we are going to see how to group this. So here is the first group, and then here is the second group, right? Okay, then we can just factorize out the first group like we used to do in factorization by GCF, right? You just see that you can see x is common, so we take x outside the bracket. When we take x outside the bracket, we write x plus 2. We write the rest of the equation without x. We learned this in factorization by GCF. Plus, here 4 is common, right? 4 is common in the multiple of 8, so 4 is common, x plus 2. Pretty simple. Now that we have the whole quadratic expression factorized, this is actually a factorized form, we can factorize it further in quadratic expressions. That is by taking these two. As you can see, these two brackets are in common, right? See, these two brackets, they are same. So we can take these two brackets in common as one whole bracket, and then we can write the terms outside the bracket in another bracket, and that's it. We just solved a quadratic expression. It's pretty simple and easy. So quadratic equations are pretty much the same. The questions that you're going to get in quadratic equations are such: x squared plus 7x plus 12 equals to 0. See, this is just the same thing, okay, just with the extra 0. Now, for now, forget about the 0 and work on this. Think about this as an expression and just work on this part. So let's say 12 times 1, because here is a 1, right? We just don't write the 1. If we do that, first step is to multiply a and c. If we do that, we get 12. And then if we want to split 2 into two numbers that will add up to 7 but will multiply up to 12, what could those numbers be? 1 times 12 will be the 12, and then 2 times 6 will be 12, 3 times 4 will be 12, and aha, we found our group or our pair, 3 and 4. So we can write x squared plus 3x plus 4x plus 12 equals to 0. Don't forget to write the 0. We're ignoring it for now. We'll look at it later. Okay, so we can again factorize this. So x squared plus 3x, x is common, so we can take x outside the bracket plus 3, right? Plus here 4 is common, so we can write 4 outside the bracket, x plus 3 again. Don't forget the 0 is important. Now we can again take the group, we can again group them. So x plus 3, because these two brackets are in common, and then we can write the terms outside the bracket in another bracket equals to 0. So let's take this to the next page and see what it means. So here x plus 4 whole bracket, x plus 3 whole bracket equals to 0. This means when you don't have any sign over here, that means these two are being multiplied, right? If these two are being multiplied, if I say you that you have two numbers, let's say one of the number is a square and the other one is a circle, okay, and if you multiply a square and a circle, you're going to get 0. Now find out the value of any one of them, just any one of them. Now you can say there are only three possible answers. Either one of the term, let's say the square, is a 0, so 0 times any number, so I'm going to write infinity equals to 0, right? Or infinity times 0 equals to 0, right? So 0 multiplied with 0 is still a 0, or 0 times 0 will still be a 0. So these are the three possible numbers, right? Three possible answers. There's no other possible answer. If I say you that the answer is 0, at least one of the term has to be 0, or both of them has to be 0. Now keeping that in mind, that any one of them has to be 0 or both of them has to be 0, we can work this out. Here we can see two brackets are being multiplied and the answer is 0. That means either x plus 4 equals to 0 or x plus 3 equals to 0. Or maybe both of them are 0. You never know. So we can work this out as x plus 4 equals to 0 and or x plus 3 equals to 0. So it could either be both of them being a 0 or it could be one of them being a 0, right? Now we can work this out, find out x by doing x equals to 0 minus 4, which is x equals to minus 4. Pretty simple and easy. And then here on this side, x plus 3 equals to 0. So x could be x equals to 0 minus 3 equals to x equals to minus 3. Pretty simple and easy. So you found the answer of x. X could either be minus 4 or minus 3. That is the answer. Okay, let's do one more example. Let's say x squared plus x minus 6 equals to 0. Okay, first step, multiply minus 6 with 1. Here there is 1, right? So if we multiply minus 6 with 1, we get minus 6. Now we need two numbers that will multiply up to minus 6 but will add up to plus 1. So that could be minus 6 times 1. That could also be minus 3 times 2. And then that's basically it. So here we have to see the opposite. Minus 3 plus 2, the answer is minus 1, right? That's obvious. So minus 2 plus 3 is plus 1, right? So you have to figure out, even if it is opposite, you have to figure out the opposite side too. But here minus 2 plus 3 is 1, but minus 2 times 3 is minus 6. So you have to think out the way It could be the opposite. You have to change the signs. Maybe you'll find it. So we found minus 2 and plus 3 as the pair that we need. Okay, so x squared minus 2x plus 3x minus 6 equals to 0. We're going to work fast here because we already know the whole procedure. So we're going to group them. In the first group, x is common, x minus 2. Then we can leave the rest of the equation like that. In the next group, 3 is common, so 3 whole bracket x minus 2 equals to 0. Okay? Then we can take the common of these two brackets, x minus 2 and x plus 3. Okay? Then equals to 0. We can, let's take this to the next page. X plus 3, x minus 2 equals to 0. Okay, so now again, x plus 3 equals to 0, or x minus 2 equals to 0. So to find out the value of x, we keep x on this side and then write the rest of the equation on the other side. X0 minus 3, that is minus 3. Here on this side, x minus 2 equals to 0 plus 2. 0 plus 2, x equals to minus 2. I'm sorry, x equals to 2. So we found the value of x to be either minus 3 or plus 2. And with that said, you have understood quadratic expressions and equations. As you saw, it's pretty simple and very easy. It's not hard at all whatsoever. So that's it for today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.